Et bien voilà, je suis arrivé à Aalborg. Alors je sais pas si ça se prononce comme ça, il y a du vent mais tout est beau, c'est génial. C'est la destination finale si je peux dire, parce que donc c'était Paris, Copenhague et Aalborg. C'était la quatrième ville du Danemark. Hein. C'est une très belle ville, c'est un ancien village de pêcheurs. C'est beau comme tout, vous allez voir, je vais mettre des images en même temps de Aalborg. Et là, devant moi, vous avez mes petits caméramans qui sont là. Mes petits stagiaires, Valentin et Julien, qui sont enrôlés pour cette merveilleuse escapade dans l'univers du Danemark. Et il fait 21 degrés. Ce qui, pour le Danemark, quelque part, je connais bien le coin, hein, et c'est la canicule. Ils utilisent la canicule. Allez, c'est parti.
Dong, 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 shrunk, shrunk.
Bonjour, bienvenue sur ma chaîne YouTube Power. Je suis super content, je suis super heureux parce que dans ce reportage, vous allez découvrir une marque que peut-être vous ne connaissez pas, la marque Dali. Alors, vous me direz dans les commentaires si vous la connaissiez ou pas avant. Autour de moi, j'ai demandé, oh, tout le monde n'a pas l'air de connaître Dali. Alors, Dali, c'est une grande marque danoise. Nous sommes au Danemark, vous avez vu au début de la vidéo, qui fabrique des enceintes, qui fabrique des filtres pour les enceintes, donc des crossovers, qui fabrique des haut-parleurs. Vous allez découvrir une entreprise complètement atypique. Un truc de folie, c'est à taille humaine. On va donc pénétrer ensemble la séquence immersion. Je vais carrément courir, parce que sinon ça va durer 300... Oh, c'est pas cette porte-là, j'y crois pas. Ils veulent même pas me laisser rentrer. Ils savent ce qui va se passer. On ne veut pas même... Non mais j'y crois pas. Ah, je suis dehors maintenant. Ah ouais. Je suis sorti, je me suis enfermé tout seul. Donc c'est top. Eh ben, ils vont venir m'ouvrir. C'est tout moi ça. Bon, maintenant ça va, ils m'ont ouvert. C'est génial. Donc ça devrait être la bonne, celle-là. Donc on pénètre chez Dali. Alors dans cette vidéo, au menu de cette vidéo, vous allez voir des trucs de folie. D'abord, on va l'interviewer, le boss, le CEO de Dali, qui est un mec génial. Vous allez voir, c'est très accessible. Il va tout vous dire sur la philosophie, la marque, ce qu'il a dans la tête, les produits, tout à voir. Après, vous allez voir Marianne qui parle français comme vous et moi, qui va expliquer un petit peu la gamme. Il va dire, voilà, nous on a ça et tout, c'est formidable. Je tiens tout de suite à dire un truc important. Dali, c'est pas uniquement des produits à 80 000 euros. Hein. Ils débutent leur gamme avec des produits à 200, 250 euros. Donc, il y aura de tout dans cette vidéo. Et après, on ira voir Thomas qui va parler d'un casque. Et le truc le plus sympa, on va pas se mentir, ça va être ce qui est là. Ce qui est là, c'est la visite complète de l'usine. Et on aura Thomas qui sera avec nous, qui est un mec génial, qui va nous expliquer de A à Z la conception d'une des enceintes les plus onéreuses. Parce que là, quand même, ça va vous impressionner un petit peu. On s'est dit, tiens, on va faire un truc génial. Et vous allez voir, depuis la réception du bois jusqu'à l'enceinte finale, la fabrication des haut-parleurs et tout, vous allez voir des trucs de folie dans tous les ateliers, avec des gens super sympas. Vous allez voir, c'est assez particulier, c'est vraiment atypique, c'est à taille humaine. C'est pas l'usine avec plein de bruit, plein de machins. Non, non, ils prennent leur temps, ils font leur truc à la main et ils sont super gentils. Alors c'est parti. Dans quelques instants, je vais me ruer dans une salle qui est un showroom pour retrouver... Je suis passé devant. Marche arrière, toute. Non, même pas. Où c'est? Ah bah voilà. C'est pas possible. Ah bah voilà. Pas possible. Je vais me ruer dans un showroom où on va retrouver dans quelques instants le CEO de Dali qui va nous expliquer des trucs extraordinaires. Vous allez voir, comme je vous l'ai dit déjà, l'homme est vraiment passionnant et ça va être un discours parfaitement accessible pour tout le monde. Et après, on va embrayer le reportage sur l'immersion, le terrain. À ce moment, on va aller partout justement pour vous faire comprendre quelle est la philosophie, quelle est l'âme de cette marque qui est Dali et qui est quelque part un peu inconnue en France, même si elle est très très connue dans les pays nordiques. Donc c'est parti, let's go. Je suis super content parce que là je fais cette intro après avoir tourné la vidéo et je sais ce que vous allez voir et c'est carrément top. Et maintenant, c'est le grand moment parce qu'on va attaquer vraiment dans le vif du sujet, puisqu'on va interviewer le big boss ici. C'est lui qui va nous raconter un petit peu l'histoire de ces entreprises, parce que quelquefois, Dali, on dit, voilà, Dali, est-ce qu'on connaît, on connaît pas. Et là, vous allez tout savoir, vous allez voir, c'est passionnant. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I mean, happy to be here. Because, I mean, quite frankly, I'm going to be very frank with you. I do not know that much about this company. I know the brand, the name, but quite frankly, I need to know so many things. First of all, regarding the name, Dali. What does it mean, sir?
Dali stands for Danish Audiophile Loudspeaker Industries. So every of the 4 words have its own meaning.
Yes, you learn something, first of all. And I need to know everything regarding the history. I mean, where does it start? I mean, it's very a long-time company, or is it very young? What is it, sir?
Well, actually, we are celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. So we began in 1983.
And you begin with what? I mean, what kind of product, I mean, do you get? At the beginning, you start with what?
Well, we started with, let's say, products that people said they needed. And there were a few very enthusiastic guys who came up with some good designs at a very early stage. And coincidentally, or maybe because of their competence, it turned out to be pretty successful from day one.
And what kind of product? You say people need a kind of product. What kind? You started with power amplifier, turntables.
It was loudspeakers only.
Loudspeakers.
We consider ourselves a loudspeaker specialist, and we were from day one, and that is still the main purpose.
And at this moment in time, I mean, in this country, were you the only ones, or there were other brands than yours?
There were other brands. Dali, or Denmark, is known for having a very long tradition with audio and loudspeakers in particular. And that was the case also back in 1983.
Then you are not the only one at this moment in time. But do you have any specific technical specs that we cannot find anywhere else? I mean, something that you invented, you as Dali, and wasn't invented by anyone else?
Well, along the way, we did inventions, and it was both technologies that were patented. It was also, let's say, applied science, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
You take whatever is required to make a certain method better. And it's called technology, but in reality, it is a merge of very high specific materials, simulations, mathematics, design principles. But in general, I would say the loudspeaker industry is not revolving around technologies as such. It's like a mix between the exact science you find in electronics and a very experience-based way of using methods. I would compare it a little bit with winemaking.
Yes. We don't know what is wine in France. We don't know.
I'm sure you do. But
of course we do.
The thing is, if you turn it all into science,
Yep.
you may not end up with the best. And if you forget about science, you're also lost.
I do agree totally. But the first product, what was it? I mean, a big one, a small loudspeaker. What was it?
I think, to be historically exact, it was a little, relative compact stand-mounting speaker called Dali 2.
Okay. There was no Dali 1.
It was a Dali.
Dali 1, Dali 2.
It was a Dali 2. The Dali 1 came later, and it was never really named.
It's
Dali
very
1.
logical.
Very logical. Yes. So
it was a compact one?
It was a compact speaker with
Yep.
a 6.5-inch woofer and a 1-inch dome, and you could say it's a concept that's still around.
Yep.
In versions. We still use the number 2, and it's referring to that sort of category or size of a speaker that was there from day one 40 years ago.
And then 40 years ago, I mean, it was the first product. Was it sold internationally or only in this country? It was a worldwide success?
It was a very Danish thing to begin
Danish
with. It
thing,
was
yeah.
sold mainly or basically only in the retail chain that we came from. And only later there was some export activities established.
Okay, and now we can find the products all over the world.
Yes,
In the entire
today
world.
we are, I would say, to a very high degree, an international company. And the Danish and the Scandinavian sales is a minor part of our activity, but still an important part, of course. It's our home market.
Okay, great. I mean, regarding the engineers, I mean, and the way technical things were made, was it only engineers from this country, or at this moment in time, at the beginning, you say, come on, we're going to take people from US, from whatever, from Japan. Is it only Danish people? Is it really a Danish company?
It was basically Danish people, and, you know, honestly, there are a lot of people to pick from because Denmark has a long tradition in educating engineers. So there were inspiration from people from abroad, also technologies derived by people in the US and so on, like theories and so on. Floyd E. Toole, for example, played a role, not directly, but as an inspiration. And I could name quite a few others. But yes, Danish engineers for the actual designs.
Okay, it's great. And regarding the target, I mean, the guys who are going to buy that kind of product, you got a wide target. When I think about Dali, I only think about high end because I saw you so many times in Munich, and I think, come on, Dali is this or that. Even the latest headphone is a very high end and for quite expensive. I mean, your target is wide, or do you consider yourself, okay, we are Dali and we are targeting only high end consumers?
You could say we have stretched the price tag a lot over the years. So we have high-end, some would say ultra high-end products nowadays, but we still have also a very affordable entry level.
And we have things like that.
Yeah, so you could say Dali's role is in any given existing segment to try and come in and refine sound and principles within, let's say, price categories that already exist. We did not invent high-end. We looked at the market and saw, hey, this is interesting. We would love to see if we can make some improvement in this category as well. And I would say the same is the case for a product like the Catch. This category existed already, and this is our take on how it should be made. And the rest is up to the listeners.
Okay, then you got a full range of products.
Yes, nowadays we have.
Yeah, you have nowadays. Do you have only loudspeakers, or you have something like, multi-room servers or something like that? Do you have only that kind of products, or do you plan to have other things in the future than loudspeakers?
Well, as you may figure out from the name, Danish Audiophile Loudspeaker Industries, we are very loyal to that definition. So in the case we have products that are not directly loudspeakers, they are only there to serve as supports for the loudspeakers. Could be like our sound hub, which is a transmitter for the loudspeaker. And the speaker in the EQ category will not work without it. So yes, we are a loudspeaker companies, and that's what you should expect from us.
It's a great philosophy, so definitely it's a great philosophy. Do you have anything to say regarding the future? I mean, the future of hi-fi in Europe and in the world. Do you have anything, any tips to give us regarding what you're planning to do, new products, things like that, trade secrets that you can deliver? Do you have anything like this, sir, or not?
Well, if it was a trade secret, well, it wouldn't be a secret if I said it.
Yeah, it's a trade secret. It's just
I would say
to give you the opportunity to talk to me.
We are, of course, on a journey as a company, and we are observing what goes on in the world, and we are very interested in seeing how the customer behavior is. Not so much the mainstream. Honestly, it doesn't interest us a lot. But out of the mainstream comes some niches. There are always people who want to get something better, who want to upgrade the standard. And we are observing what direction that takes. It is not a coincidence that we have made headphones in the later years, because headphones coming out of being a hype and a mainstream that came in quite a few years after having been disappeared entirely. We saw a big chance to actually go in and work with sound under the, let's say, existing conditions, like, wireless headphones, but also active headphones and even passive technology. We are bringing out a product. You talk about a secret. It's not actually a secret because we showed it in Munich, but it's not out yet. We are bringing out a new IO12 now. Not a cheap product, but it will unite those three types of operation in one product at a very high quality.
It's not the most expensive one I've got. There are so many expensive products like that. I mean, my last question is going to be a general question. I mean, do you feel, in the past maybe 5 years, a change regarding the customer? Do you think customers are switching to home theater or something like that? Or do you feel that it's still hi-fi, high fidelity? Do you feel a change regarding customers?
You could say in the very old days, hi-fi was sort of a standard for many people because that was how you wanted to listen to music or radio. You might not be an enthusiast, but you still bought what was called a hi-fi system. I think the hi-fi part we work with is more the part where some people maybe also, they already owned sound in advance. Now they want something better. And I would say that will also be the case in the future. But the change I really see is that people are going a little bit more for convenience nowadays. Things have to be a little bit more plug and play. That is, of course, something we observe with interest. There are still very dedicated enthusiasts who will crawl around on the floor with cables and connectors and so on, and we like them as well, don't get me wrong. But it's interesting to see that there are so many people who like to get their life with sound upgraded, and how we can approach them where they are. We cannot expect them to be the types that will, read specifications from morning to evening, but they still have 2 ears, and all people in the world will react to being presented to better sound. It's actually very interesting, and it's one of my personal missions to get more people to join this world of fantastic sound, because it's really something people will normally not expect.
Okay, this is a nice philosophy, and thank you so very much for being so frank with us. And now we're going to have a little chat with Marianne, and we're going to get to other people's, in the factory, and see the entire thing here at Dali. It's
Please
fantastic. Do. Thank you, sir. You are amazing. Thank
you. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck for what?
For the factory tour.
Yes, for the factory tour.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you. Marianne.
Bonjour Pépé.
Ça va, Marianne?
Ça va très bien.
Je suis content que tu sois là.
Ben, moi aussi, je suis contente.
Vraiment? Est-ce que tu peux expliquer aux gens quel est ton job chez Dali?
Oui. Moi, je suis responsable commercial chez Dali et je gère plusieurs marchés européens, y parmi la France. Et ça fait plus de 9 ans que je travaille chez Dali.
Et tu parles donc 3-4 langues et tout, tu travailles avec beaucoup de pays, c'est génial. Mais il y a un truc qui me ferait super plaisir, c'est que tout à l'heure, on a vu dans l'interview du CEO, tu sais, il était formidable, autant le dire, ton boss a été vraiment top. J'ai mis plein d'images. Et j'aimerais que tu puisses essayer de décomposer un peu la gamme, que les gens aient une vision de la gamme Dali.
Avec plaisir. Alors, chez Dali, on a une gamme très polyvalente. On a des produits de différentes tailles, de différentes performances, de différents prix, de différentes formes. Donc, il y a vraiment une enceinte pour tous les goûts. On a aussi des produits, bien évidemment, qui commencent en entrée de gamme. Ensuite, en milieu de gamme. Mais on a aussi des produits très, très haut de gamme. Mais si tu veux, Pépé, je te montre.
Ah bah avec plaisir. Let's go. Vous allez voir un beau showroom qui va nous servir pour 2 interviews. Vous allez voir à quel point il est magnifique, ce showroom.
On divise nos produits dans 3 catégories. Donc, on commence avec le PIP, qui est le plug and play. En fait, plug and play, ce sont nos produits faciles à utiliser, qui marchent avec Bluetooth. Il suffit d'appuyer sur un bouton. Par exemple, l'enceinte Catch, qui est une enceinte nomade, qui marche avec Bluetooth.
Mais celle-là, tu vois, pour dire un petit peu aux gens, ça attaque à quel tarif? Que les gens voient tout de suite le début, on attaque à quel tarif chez Dali?
400 €.
400 €, c'est ton début de gamme, mais il y a...
Non, en fait, ça, c'est pas le début de gamme. Si je te montre l'enceinte
voilà.
Début de gamme, c'est la Spectre 1, que vous voyez ici. Elle est à 250 € la paire.
Donc c'est une petite enceinte bibliothèque, super mimi. Et donc c'est comme ça que vous attaquez le très grand public chez Dali avec ce type de petits produits. Alors le truc qui est sympa, c'est que les gens vont voir dans cette vidéo, c'est qu'on garde le même design d'haut-parleur, les mêmes couleurs. C'est-à-dire qu'on a ce type d'haut-parleur, on le retrouve sur tous les modèles, quoi. Donc tu as des enceintes bibliothèques, mais c'est pas que ça le plug and play.
C'est pas que ça, non. On a aussi des casques Bluetooth.
Ah, regarde, magie du direct. Des casques Bluetooth, merci Valentin. Voilà.
Donc, on a 3 casques, en fait.
Ouais.
IO4, IO6 et IO12, qui est plus haut de gamme.
D'accord. Et ça fait longtemps que vous faites des casques, parce que peut-être que les gens qui me regardent ont peut-être la sensation que Dali, c'est vraiment que des enceintes. Parce que vous ne mettez pas forcément l'accent sur les casques, et donc vous avez quand même plusieurs modèles. Ça débute à quel tarif chez toi?
Ça débute à 299.
D'accord.
Et le casque le plus cher est à 999.
Et maintenant, c'est la deuxième catégorie. Il y a suspense, avec Marianne. C'est quoi ta deuxième catégorie
La deuxième catégorie, on appelle ça la catégorie corps. En fait, corps, c'est tout ce qu'on peut définir dans le sens d'enceintes traditionnelles, c'est-à-dire des colonnes, des bibliothèques, des vocales, des caissons. Ça, c'est corps avec un K. Par contre, la catégorie, c'est corps avec un C.
C'est pratique, c'est la logique. La plus grande logique de Dali est là, c'est que c'est la même chose, mais c'est pas la même chose. Donc le corps, je crois que c'est l'enceinte la plus haut de gamme qui existe.
Voilà, c'est ça. Elle est à 90 000 € la paire.
90 000 € la
c'est
paire. La vidéo ne sera pas que sur ça, hein. Commencez pas à vous... Ah, mon Dieu, non, tenez bon les pacemakers. Donc Marianne, ça c'est ton haut de gamme, et ça c'est Epicor, c'est ça?
Epicor 11, ouais.
11.
Qui va sortir le mois prochain et qui a 45 000 € la paire.
C'est la moitié du prix de l'autre. Et
C'est
tout
ça.
à l'heure, dans l'usine, on verra la conception de corps et quelques petits trucs d'Epicor parce qu'ils sont encore voilà, en train de peaufiner le truc. Mais on verra la conception de la corps tout à l'heure avec Thomas. C'est génial. Donc ça, c'est ta gamme. Donc corps avec un C et tu as dedans des enceintes plus petites, comme celle-ci, je suppose.
Oui, ça c'est la Rubicon. C'est aussi assez haut de gamme, mais c'est quand même moins haut de gamme que ce qu'on vient de voir. Mais ce qui est intéressant aussi dans la gamme corps, c'est qu'on a des enceintes filaires traditionnelles, mais on a aussi des sans fil.
Alors en fin de compte, ça serait la même chose, mais sans fil. C'est-à-dire que tu as avec fil ou sans fil.
Voilà. En fait, le sans fil, on a un sound up qui va avec et qui alimente les enceintes. On peut streamer en réseau.
Donc la gamme est complète, c'est une gamme qui débute à quel tarif à peu près, l'accord? Parce que les gens se posent des questions, parce qu'on a parlé de produits à 90 000, 45 000 €, donc peut-être qu'ils se disent « Oh là là !»
Ne t'inquiète pas, Pépé, on débute à 250 € la paire.
Donc là, on a la deuxième possibilité. Tu as parlé de trois gammes.
C'est la fantôme.
La fantôme, elle est ailleurs, on y va?
On y va.
C'est incroyable. Marianne, voici ta troisième catégorie. Ça a de la gueule, hein, en tous les cas.
Ouais, alors là, je vous présente nos gammes encastrables, fantôme, qui s'intègrent dans le mur, au plafond.
C'est pas le sport le plus populaire en France. C'est que les gens font pas beaucoup d'encastrable, mais c'est en train de devenir un sport populaire. Je pense que les gens commencent à construire des maisons en pensant à ça. C'est-à-dire qu'on commence à penser, et si on encastrait, si on préparait le gainage dans les plafonds. Et toi, tu as des solutions, justement, qui sont...
Voilà, on a pas mal de solutions maintenant. Cette gamme, elle a vraiment été développée les dernières années chez Dali. Donc, on a plusieurs propositions pour des installations stéréo ou même home cinéma. On peut, même si on n'a pas envie de faire des trous dans le mur, on peut monter un cadre comme ça et l'insérer dedans.
Marianne, du subwoofer. On a du subwoofer. Ici, si Julien peut montrer. Tu en as plusieurs dans la gamme?
On a plusieurs, oui, de toute taille, même encastrables.
Donc, tu as également des petites enceintes qu'on peut mettre en surround.
Voilà, on propose aussi dans notre gamme les Alteco, qui sont des enceintes d'auteur qu'on puisse utiliser dans des installations au cinéma également.
Pour avoir un surround arrière. Mais vous n'avez pas de système Dolby Atmos pour le moment, dans tous les cas.
Non.
Merci Marianne.
Merci Pépé.
T'as été top. Maintenant, on va retrouver Thomas qui va parler d'autres trucs de philosophie et d'un casque génial, dont la référence est déjà, ce casque à 1000 €, sa référence c'est quoi?
IO12.
L'IO12. Je suis parti fouiller un petit peu parce qu'on a le malheur de ne pas m'avoir à l'œil. Donc ça, c'est ce qu'on appelle un mock-up. C'est-à-dire que c'est une sorte de forme de travail de la future enceinte. C'est-à-dire qu'ils ont commencé à travailler sur cette forme-là pour créer la corps, donc la plus onéreuse. C'est celle-ci. Mais il y a d'autres choses intéressantes. Voilà, c'est une sorte de mini-musée. Mais moi, ce que je voulais vous montrer, c'est ce qu'on appelle le cross-section. Quand on fait une enceinte, on peut également la montrer comme ça. C'est-à-dire qu'on peut la mettre dans des vitrines de magasins pour que les gens comprennent comment sont placés les haut-parleurs, comment on place la laine de verre, les trucs comme ça. Donc, les cross-sections, là vous avez une partie de la gamme. Je ne connais pas toutes les références, hein. Veuillez m'en excuser. Vous avez encore ici une cross-section où on peut voir le positionnement des haut-parleurs ainsi qu'en bas le filtre. Voilà, ce qu'on appelle le cross-over. Donc c'est plutôt marrant parce qu'il y a vraiment une gamme qui est très large. Quand vous regardez comme ça, vous avez des modèles qui sont des sortes de petits modèles bibliothèques sur un pied. Et vous avez des modèles qui sont plus nobles, entre guillemets, de la hi-fi. Ne prenez pas le mot de travers. Des modèles plus traditionnels d'enceintes colonnes. Ils sont plutôt enceintes colonnes, hein, globalement, hein, que enceintes bibliothèques, même s'ils ont des enceintes bibliothèques, parce qu'on sait que les gens aiment ça. C'est merveilleux. Merci Marianne, c'était top. Marianne, c'était top, mais attention, maintenant vous allez avoir la théorie et la pratique derrière la porte. Hello!
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. You
You
got
like
two
it?
different... Yeah, I do like it. You got two different rooms, but the two are just amazing. And this one is for hi-fi.
Yeah,
and
this is
one...
our main showroom,
Yeah.
where we have a kind of high-end hi-fi stereo section, and then a home theater, but also stereo, but a little
Yeah.
smaller systems here. I pulled out a product that I know that you like.
Yes.
which
This
is
one.
the Menuet SE. The Menuet has been a speaker we've had for over 20 years in different variations. This one is our new special edition version, which uses a very nice veneer, high gloss lacquer. It uses better components inside, better terminals on the back. So it's upgraded compared to the standard Menuet that we have.
And the price for this one, for both?
The price is 1,700
Okay.
euros. And that's for both, right?
For both, it's
Yeah.
it's not expensive.
Right. I always say, Euro
Yes.
prices and Danish prices.
And I've got this one. I mean, this one is great. If I want something less expensive, you got other things in the brand.
Absolutely. We actually have, well, the next step down could be something like the Opticon 2. It's a little bit bigger speaker, so it will fill a larger room. But the price is around 1,400 for a pair.
People don't know, but during this report, we're going to go from you to the factory.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the factory, I've got a bonus. I'm going to build this one. You're going to see me building this one with my name on it. You know, it's incredible. This is why I do like it, because I made it. Not this one, but another one.
Yeah.
Great. Can we see other stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Come on, get up.
So, this is our newest high-end model called the Epicore 11. It is what would you say, a smaller version of the Dali core. Which
The core is the high
core
end.
is the pinnacle,
the pinnacle
masterpiece
of Dali.
We launched this one last year.
At Munich,
Munich high
at
end.
Munich high end, I was there.
Yes, and we took everything we learned in the development of the Dali core and put it into a smaller package and a more affordable package.
Affordable.
Well, I say affordable. It's still
It's still high end.
It's still 40,000 euros for a pair.
Oui.
So we have a philosophy at Dali that we should always give the customer more than they expect. And I would say very strongly that even though it's 40,000 euros, you get much more than you pay for in terms of sound quality.
Can you tell me more about this one, please? Because I heard it.
Yes, you heard it at Munich, I guess?
Yes.
This is our newest headphone, which is called the Dali IO12. This is a high-end headphone. It's around 1,000 euros.
Yes.
Which is a high-end, what we call a passive headphone, but with the ability to go Bluetooth and noise cancelling as well.
Passive and noise cancelling and Bluetooth. How can you do that?
We kind of twisted it around. Normally, you would have a Bluetooth wireless headphone that can also be used passively if you run out of battery.
Yeah.
We turned it around and said we won't compromise on the sound quality in passive mode because some people like to have a good head-fi amplifier, something like that. But you should always, you should also be able to bring it on the plane, on the train, for a wireless use. So what we did was kind of build it like a loudspeaker. So in this one, there's both an amplifier and an active DSP, active filtering, but there's also passive filtering like we do in loudspeakers.
Okay.
So that means that even though they're turned off, you still get the correct sound out of whereas most other hi-fi headphones
don't do that.
They don't do that.
They don't do that at all.
Yeah.
At all.
And also we use the same techniques that we use from, for example, Epicore. So the magnet material is the same that we use in these headphones. It's the first headphone in the world using our patented SMC material, which is
SMC, what is that?
It's soft magnetic compound, and it's a magnet material we use to replace the iron in the speaker driver to lower distortion.
Okay.
So these have a tremendously low distortion, which means that you can listen to them for hours without getting ear fatigue. But they are also extremely clear, extremely transparent in the sound.
And this is the first time you're doing something like this.
Yes.
I mean, the other ones are not that expensive. There's 300 or whatever
exactly.
euros. And I mean, quite frankly, at the high end, I was really amazed by this product. I mean, I was surprised. Really surprised by this one. And the price, I'm going to tell you, is not that expensive regarding the things you put inside, which are very, very high quality inside the product. Thomas, can you tell me more about the philosophy? I mean, what is the aim of Dali regarding that kind of product, building this? I mean, do you have anything in mind? I mean, of course, it's the music, but at the end, there's something inside the engineer's head.
We have these, what we call our sound design principles.
Okay.
And we have lots of them, but the main ones, one of the most important ones, I think, is what we call low loss. And what we mean about low loss is that, basically what is a speaker driver? A speaker driver is a machinery that reacts to an electrical signal, generated by the amplifier.
And the excursion.
Yes, it goes back and forth, and it should do so as precise as possible. Otherwise, the music won't sound as it's supposed to do. And there's a lot of things that can restrict the free movement in a driver. That can be heavy materials, stiff materials, that can be iron,
the glue.
Example. It can be the glue. It can be, how the electromechanical properties are. So what we always try to do is to minimize mechanical loss. So we want to take that energy from the music signal and turn it into a moving signal, kind of to push the air as precise as possible. And that, everybody says that. But we spend a lot of time researching in what kind of materials to use, what kind of composition of materials. So we look at it as a whole. Not only, we don't go for just the highest frequency or the lowest frequency. We want the frequency response to be good. We want the timing to be good as well. We want the distortion to be low. We want to have a good dispersion of the sound.
Only the best and nothing but the best.
So it's kind of like being a chef, You can get all the best ingredients in the world, but if you're not a good chef, then it doesn't matter. So our engineers, we consider them very great chefs to cook a speaker driver that's good on every level.
And the fact it's very funny because you get a full range from the beginning of the range, a small product, not very expensive, and you get a high-end, very expensive. But quite frankly, when I look at the products, I find always the same design. Even if the product is not very expensive, you get the same kind of philosophy inside.
The same philosophy goes from, our most expensive Dali core down to Spectre 1. They're designed from the exact same principles. We also have one called amplifier friendly. So that means that our speakers should be able to be driven by pretty much any amplifier. We don't want to decide what kind of amplifier you should use. We want to have what we call wide dispersion. So a good dispersion of energy in the whole room. So it's not only you, but also your family that gets good sound.
It depends on the room also.
It depends on the room.
It depends on the room.
It's a design principle that we use from the beginning of the design. So, and that material is sitting in a very soft and very, soft suspension, a very low loss suspension, so that we don't lose any energy in the movement in the rubber parts as well.
And no distortion, by the way.
Very low distortion. But distortion is not the only good thing about speaker design. You also have to have control of the timing, of the dispersion, of the frequency response. All of those things makes a good speaker, and we have to consider every
step and everything. It's a kind of magic that exists, by the way, with a great sound. It's magical. And it's magical, and we're going to see this inside the factory, because we're going to have a factory tour led by Thomas, who's going to be there and be our guiding light. And it's going to take time in a few minutes in this video. It's going to be amazing. Thank you, Thomas.
Okay.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Scotty, beam me up.
Beam me up.
Bon, on va rentrer. Oh là là, les plantes vertes. Je vais me faire tuer. Ah, c'est parti. Allez, venez avec moi. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, PP.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. What are you doing here? What is your job?
I am the COO, the factory director for Dali. So it's my responsibility, everything regarding production, quality, purchasing, logistics.
Okay, and then here is just the beginning of things, because it's the wood. The way you manufacture wood.
That's true. This is the cabinet factory for the Danish factory. And this is where we do all the cabinets, all the parts for the cabinets. We do the milling, we do the assembly, and we do the lacquering of all the cabinets for our high-end products.
And all the high-end products and the other products are made somewhere else, by the way.
We have our own factory in China. We established that 15 years ago, and it produces parts for us, but it also produces the entire Oberon range.
Okay, can we have a little tour? To see whatever it is, the way you put things together here.
Absolutely, it will be my pleasure.
Then the beginning is just wood. Pieces of wood. Like the one I see there. Okay,
exactly.
We can get there.
Yes.
You're going to see the pieces of wood. Just the beginning of the things.
These are the raw MDF plates, and this is actually the beginning of the front and back for the Rubicon LCR. So this requires 5-axis CNC milling for doing these shapes, and after that we put on the veneer, then we do the another piece of milling for these parts, and then we do the assembly of the cabinets.
Okay, and everything is done manually, automatically. They are using machines, or do you have any professional with special skills to do that? It's only machines they're doing it?
It takes a lot of skills to do the 5-axis programming of the machines, and these the guys doing these operations are skilled and trained people. Yes, absolutely.
Ok, maintenant on s'en va vers l'assemblage, parce que bien sûr quand on commence à créer ce qu'on appelle le cabinet, donc l'ensemble de l'enceinte, ben, ce sont des morceaux de bois et on les assemble. Here it is.
Here it is. This is the next natural step for the cabinet manufacturing. And as you can see, this is an example of some of the plates for the Rubicon 6. At this point, it has been milled on the CNC machines that we have just seen. This is the front plate for the Rubicon 6. At this point, we have milled all the details, and the front plate and the back plates are ready for the final assembly of the cabinet.
Okay, but how long does it take, to do that?
It takes not a long time.
Not
it
a long
takes
time.
3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, per piece. So it's really fast. The next step would be the assembly of the cabinet. Next step is that we have the ready front and the back being ready for the final assembly of the Rubicon cabinet. And the trick is, I'll show you.
It's amazing.
And then you can put in the front and the back and the internal bracing as well. And you have a finished cabinet.
Vous allez assister donc à l'assemblage complet d'une enceinte Dali dans son ébénisterie. Quand même, un reportage 12 étoiles.
Now we have a finished cabinet, and it is left for the glue to cure for 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours. Okay. Then we can do the next step. The next step being that we remove all the tape, and then we do the sanding. The sanding is necessary before the cabinet is being lacquered. And these are some of the already finished cabinets. These are the Rubicon 8s.
Ça, c'est avant le ponçage. Vous allez voir le ponçage. Et ça, c'est après le ponçage. Voilà.
We have a special lacquering process. What is special about it is actually that, unlike many other producers, we use water-based lacquer. And water-based meaning that we don't have any solvents, so it's good for humans and it's also good for the environment. Also, it is UV curing. It means that when the lacquer is put on the side, then we have UV lamps making sure that the lacquer is cured. It also means that we get a cabinet out of the lacquering facility every 3 minutes. So instead of having it to dry overnight, we can produce and have it right away. This is a really big advantage for us.
I mean, you're doing this from 1 year, 2 years, 10 years? You don't know?
3 years now.
3 years now.
Yes.
It's getting faster and it's good for the planet also.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And back in the day, we used to get most of the cabinets from Asian suppliers, and a lot of factories also in Europe still do that. But what is good about the UV lacquering is, of course, that we are able to take back the production to Europe from Asia, which is something that makes us really proud.
Chez Dali, il y a un modèle très haut de gamme qui s'appelle The Core, qui coûte 90 000 €. Eh bien, le voici en conception. Thomas,
Yes.
here it is.
It is. This is the core. This is the flagship speaker for Dali. It is a very expensive product and a very difficult product to manufacture as well. As you can see now, we have an almost finished cabinet, which means that right now the glue is securing. So we have this very heavy 30 kilo cabinet. It's 30 millimeters in thickness. And at this point, it's waiting for the drying, and then the next step would be the sanding and the top coat. This is a high gloss product, meaning that we will add more layers of lacquer to it. We sand it, and then we have the polishing stations next to us.
Is it the most complicated one here that you're just manufacturing?
Absolutely.
I mean, how long does it take, I mean, from the beginning till the end, I mean, to get this product done?
For the cabinet alone, it takes 1 day.
1 day for the cabinet?
Yes.
And for the rest, you know, I mean, 2 days?
1 day as well. But you know, this is the flagship for us. Usually, we take a lot of concern in doing design for manufacturing. It has to be fairly easy to do, otherwise we will not make any money. But for this product, we didn't care.
Ah, you don't care?
No. But this can be as difficult as it must, because this must be the best we can do. This is what it looks like before the second layer of lacquer. We have to put on a lot of lacquer because the sanding and polishing takes a thick layer. It's still water-based, but more lacquer than the Rubicon we just saw.
Thomas, what is that?
That is something a little bit unusual, because we actually have a complete core product, which is a finished loudspeaker, but we found a very small error. And for this product, and for all Dali products actually, we will not allow anything with errors to go out of the factory. So this is here for a small repair. You will never find light like this in your living room, but for us, this is how we control the quality.
Because you tolerate nothing, it's zero defect.
Yes. This is a robot that helps us, because it takes a lot of hours to do the sanding and the polishing of every core product. So to help the operators, we have this collaborative robot that will do all the sanding for the core cabinets, also for some of the Rubicon cabinets actually. So it has a pressure sensitive device on top of it. It will sense the amount of kilos of pressure. It will change, as you can see here, the different types of sanding paper. It will do that automatically.
It can do every part of the loudspeaker?
Yes.
I mean,
it can, because it can turn around. It can turn on the axis here. But it can only do so much. It cannot do the final touch. It needs a good pair of eyes and a lot of skills with your hands to do the final polishing. So we can get some help from the robots, but it will never do everything for us. We are not completely doomed, not yet.
Yeah, we are not doomed, not yet. C'est l'enceinte la plus chère. Donc il y a un endroit particulier ici, c'est l'assemblage final. C'est comme si on avait en même temps une visite de grande usine de voitures. C'était les voitures la plus chère. Et bien c'est là que ça se fait. C'est presque, regardez, c'est presque religieux. Je me tais presque. C'est quand même quelque part dans une vidéo. Chez moi, c'est pas possible. It is the final step here.
It is.
It is.
This is an area dedicated to the final assembly of our high-end products. That is the core, of course, but also the Epicon and the Epicore, soon to be launched. Here you can see some of the bases for the core. This is solid concrete, very heavy. The core ends up weighing 150 kilos. Apart from being very heavy, it's also non-magnetic, and it houses the crossover for the core, so it's important that it is not magnetic. So during the development of the core speaker, we found that handling a speaker that ends up being so heavy is actually not an easy task. So we had to develop these devices here that can elevate the loudspeaker and also turn it around, rotate it. This is very important for the final assembly. And from the ladies here begin doing the final assembly of the core speaker until it is complete and tested. It takes 1 day for one speaker. This is the internal wiring, of course. And then the next step would be to mount the front baffles.
Yeah, the mounting.
Yes, with the drivers, of course. And if we look around us, you can see some of the parts being used. And inside each front baffle, you will have two very big woofers, 11-inch. They weigh 15 kilos each. And one driver, we will get back to that, but one driver takes 1 hour to manufacture in the driver assembly.
Là, il faudrait une musique façon film quand même, un peu. La Fox, oh là 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 là, regardez les monstres. How many kilos?
15 kilos, yes, each. And this is by far the most complicated driver we have ever developed. It has a dual concentric magnet system, meaning you have a very long voice coil and 2 spiders. And you have a very, very powerful magnet as well. This is the mid-range tweeter section for the core. As you can see, you have the crossover, but only for the mid-range and tweeter section. The base section has its own very big crossover. This is solid aluminum, which we have damped with a special composite as well, to make it absolutely dead. And if we try to lift it a little bit and turn it around,
C'est un métier qui est pas facile, hein.
You can see what it ends up like. This is the mid-range and tweeter section. You can see this the special hybrid tweeter, which is used in many Dali products. And this is a dedicated mid-range, and as well as with the bass drivers, these are made without compromise at all.
On monte comme ça, step by step, de plus en plus intéressant. On va aller voir un process particulier, on appelle le lacquering, c'est-à-dire une sorte de laquage, vous allez voir. C'est assez fou.
So this is the lacquering facility, and we use, as I explained, water-based lacquer, and we have this conveyor system where you have 23 stations. Each station can hold a loudspeaker cabinet, and it can paint anything from the very small minuet up to the core.
Big ones, yeah.
And we use a robot for doing the actual spraying process. We have 2 spraying stations inside the cabin. Behind the curtain, you have a pressure of air, making sure that no dust will come in, and the area where we are doing the spraying is dust-free. Then we have several stations where we are trying to draw out the water from the water-based lacquer. And then after 45 minutes, we have UV lamps, which means that after 45 minutes, give or take, you will have a cabinet out and it is ready for final assembly.
Et en même temps, sachez que c'est vraiment une usine à taille humaine. Ils sont pas 600, ils sont pas rien du tout, ils ont des petites unités, ils sont 45 à fabriquer les enceintes à la main. Vous avez vu tout à l'heure, il n'y a pas de chaîne entre guillemets, les gens ils vont à leur rythme. Eux ils disent ici n'importe comment, étant ce sont des modèles très très haut de gamme, on n'a pas de notion de rendement, il faut que ça soit... Non, une notion de qualité avant tout, ils disent voilà, on prend le temps, on y va, on ponce, on place. Vous avez vu de toute façon, déjà le début de la vidéo, dans la philosophie de Dali, quoi. Mais là, c'est vrai que, je ne vais pas vous cacher, qu'on est dans l'usine qui fabrique les hauts de gamme. C'est vrai qu'il y a une autre partie de la production qui est faite en Chine avec une usine dédiée à Dali, avec des gens de Dali sur place. Mais là, on est dans la partie high-end, entre guillemets, puisqu'en effet, Dali, comme vous avez pu le voir dans ce reportage, a des enceintes qui commencent en début de gamme, milieu de gamme et très très haut de gamme, comme les Core, qui sont fabriqués ici, ainsi que d'autres modèles. On avance, maintenant c'est la cour des miracles, l'assemblage final. Vous allez voir, c'est carrément génial.
What is happening here is that we have the final assembly of one of the Rubicon speakers. This is the Rubicon LCR, the cabinet that you saw in the very beginning. So after the final assembly, Karin is doing an acoustic test of all the products. First of all the drivers are tested individually. We will come to that later.
Yeah, later.
And then all the finished products are of course also tested, because we want to make absolutely sure that nothing bad happens along the way. So every loudspeaker is tested like this, and what we are testing is actually the frequency response, the distortion, the impedance. And it has to be within the limits that we define when we develop the product.
Donc il y a un petit problème ici. Voilà. C'est pas 100% de satisfaction. And what are you going to do about this?
This is actually something that we will have to take care of and find out exactly what is happening. If it's part of the placement of the product, then it's not a problem really. But it could also be something in the drivers.
Okay.
And we will absolutely check that and make sure it doesn't leave the factory with that small error.
Maintenant, ça va être très important. Vous avez vu, en effet, le coffrage, l'assemblage. Mais il y a un truc super important, je voulais justement finir avec ça, c'est la conception des haut-parleurs eux-mêmes. Parce qu'on commence les bénisteries, et après on place les haut-parleurs. Mais d'abord, on les fabrique, évidemment. Et maintenant, vous allez assister à un truc que moi j'adore, la conception des haut-parleurs.
This area is where we do all the drivers that we use in the production here in Denmark. And as you can see, we have a lot of different parts. Most of them are actually from Europe, but actually none of them are manufactured by Dali in the house. Most of the parts are assembled using gluing processes, and it has to be extremely precise in order to behave like we want them to. And we also have the magnet systems that we get here, and they are not magnetized when we get them. We do that ourselves to be able to control the quality. So we have aluminum parts, the baskets, which is very essential for the driver. Mm-hmm. This is our design. We own the tools, of course. We also have...
Oh my God.
This is the core woofer, 15 kilos of pure power. And we actually destroyed one for you guys, so you can see how it is designed inside. We have a very, very powerful magnet system. You have a very wide voice coil, and the entire design is ventilated. The first step when we do the woofers is actually where we have the diaphragm and the voice coil. And this is one of the many gluing processes that we have here. As you can probably imagine, it has to be very precisely aligned, both horizontally and vertically. Because if it's not, then the voice coil will scratch in the magnet. Yes. And using glue, if it scratches, you can throw it away.
Hello. Hi.
Here Tanya is doing the assembly of the entire moving system and the diaphragm. And we get some help from a robot in this process. It's not because Tanya cannot do it, but as you can see, the path of the gluing process is a bit difficult, and a robot can do it exactly the same way every time. This is the next step. This is where we are adding the coating to the driver. Now the coating, the function is both to close the diaphragm so it will be resistant to moisture, which is very important, especially when you are selling a lot in Asia, as we are doing. But also it adds stiffness and damping to the diaphragm. And it's actually done by hand, each and every one of them. As you can see, we are using volumetric dosing again, meaning that we know exactly how many grams of glue we are adding to each diaphragm, but the coating is done by hand. It takes years of practice to be good at doing the driver assembly here at Dali. After the coating, the glue is left to dry, and it has to be 4 hours. Mm-hmm. When the glue is dry, then we are ready for the next step. The next step is here. This is the magnetization process.
Ah, very important.
Very important. And of course, we do the magnetization here, both because it's really difficult to transport magnetized magnets across the globe, but also because we want to control the quality. And after the magnetization, we are testing each and every driver.
Le son que je préfère dans la vie, le test des haut-parleurs. Dans une enceinte, il y a un truc super important qui s'appelle le filtre, c'est le crossover. On va voir ça maintenant. C'est vraiment, si ça s'est foiré, tout restait foiré. Et ils le font ici, à la main, en plus.
We have the crossover section here, and we are doing them by hand for the core, for the epicons, and for the EP core speakers. And why are we doing that? Because we could have it done in China or by some sub-supplier, but we think it's valuable for our loudspeakers that we can do them by hand. And a lot of the processes we have here in the factory in Denmark are actually also serving as a development plant. So when we develop new products, then we can go out in our own factory and test everything. We don't have to wait for a sub-supplier. We can do it ourselves.
Ok. Et on rappelle que le rôle justement du crossover du filtre, c'est on a un signal audio, il arrive, mais il faut le séparer, c'est-à-dire envoyer le son vers le grave, le médium et l'aigu. Donc le crossover va séparer les fréquences suivant ce que veut le fabricant. Ça peut couper à 80 Hz, à tout ce que vous voulez. Et donc on sépare. Et si c'est mal fait, c'est la catastrophe.
These are some of the best sounding components we have ever done.
Là, c'est carrément historique. What is that? I've seen it in Munich, one.
You have, this is the first assembly actually of the EP Core 11. This is just below the core. A very expensive speaker, a very big speaker, as you can see. And now we are preparing the first assembly, making it ready for shipment. And you can see we have the woofers being ready for the final assembly now. As you can see now, we have a signature on the drivers. And actually, all the drivers are signed by the person who is doing the final test of the driver. And also for the complete products, the back plate, you can see a signature as well.
The back plate is here.
Yeah.
This part.
It happens actually. Sometimes we get an email or a phone call from a customer who's saying, could you please go and say hello to Anna and say that I'm really pleased with my loudspeakers? And of course,
I'm really pleased about my loudspeaker. It's not very expensive at all. I mean,
I think they are referring to the sound actually.
I know, Thomas. Thomas, this is a kind of a hall of fame. I mean, from the beginning till now. Is that all the logos you got?
I think actually we're still missing a few, but we are celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. And this is a selection of the many logos we have had over time, as well as, for instance, the plate for the Mega line, which was the former super high-end product for Dali. So this is just, to underline that 40 years of experience with doing some of the best loudspeakers in the world.
Là, vous devez vous dire, mais pourquoi est-ce que dans cette vidéo, je ne mets pas des choses relatives à ce qu'on appelle le R&D, recherche et développement. Toutes les entreprises ont des labos de recherche et développement, mais par contre, leur droit, c'est de dire, je ne te les montre pas, parce que je n'ai pas envie d'informer mes concurrents. C'est ce qui se passe ici. Parce que ça, c'est un des labos de recherche et développement, donc des gens qui sont en train de travailler sur de l'acoustique et autres. Donc voilà, on ne rentre pas, il n'y a pas de photos. Et ça, c'est normal. Toutes les entreprises le font, donc ce sont des choses qui sont normales dans ma profession. Là, en effet, on voit des tas de choses dans ce reportage qui sont vachement bien, les produits terminés. Mais je ne peux pas encore avoir d'informations sur ce qui va venir. Parce que dans ce cas-là, s'ils me les donnent, ils informent leurs concurrents. Vous savez, il y a chez Ikea des cale-portes. C'est dans le coin également, Ikea, c'est les pays nordiques. Eux, en cale-porte, ils ont ça. Ils sont trop forts, je les aime. Vous savez, il y a un truc très important, c'est que les haut-parleurs sont vendus, enfin les enceintes sont vendues dans tous les pays. Il y a des pays où il fait très chaud, c'est très très humide, il y a des endroits où c'est sec, bref, c'est très très variable. Mais pour ça, pour savoir si un haut-parleur, si une électronique, une soudure va tenir dans tel ou tel pays, il y a ceci. C'est une chambre de test, une chambre de climat. En fin de compte, à l'intérieur de cette chambre de test, on peut faire ce que l'on veut. On peut mettre une humidité de 98%, on peut faire monter à 45 degrés, laisser un haut-parleur qui est en même temps quelquefois une membrane, quelque chose de très poreux. On peut laisser ici pendant 3 jours, 4 jours, 5 jours pour savoir comment ça se comporte. Comment se comporte une enceinte ou des éléments de l'enceinte. Voilà, ce type de chambre est indispensable à la plupart des fabricants, mais il y a mieux. Il y a beaucoup mieux. C'est un truc qui me fait beaucoup rire. Quand je vais chez certains fabricants, je vois une chambre sourde en quelque sorte. Une chambre qui permet de... Ah oui, mais là vous avez tous... Et il y a un autre endroit qui me fait beaucoup rire quand je vais chez les fabricants, c'est cette pièce. Enfin, je ne sais pas ce que c'est. Enfin bref, c'est là. Et qu'est-ce qui se passe à l'intérieur de cette pièce? On installe une enceinte, n'importe laquelle. On fout tout à fond. C'est-à-dire que si elle est capable de faire 300 watts, 350 watts, on met tout à fond, on ferme et on part en week-end. Et quand on revient, on se dit ça n'a pas survécu. Si vous saviez, alors soit tout a tenu, soit si vous saviez. Parce que bon, bien sûr, il peut y avoir des problèmes. Au moins, on les détecte comme ça. Donc, ce sont des chambres qui sont importantes pour les fabricants, autant qu'une chambre sourde quand on conçoit un produit. Il y a en effet les chambres de test climatiques, il y a ce type de choses. Donc, c'est vraiment quelque chose de super génial. J'ai tellement foutu le bazar que carrément, mais il me jette dehors. Il n'y a plus que ça à faire avec moi parce que là, j'y suis allé à fond. J'espère que ce reportage vous a plu. On a tout donné comme toujours. Ils ont été super collaboratifs parce que je sais que c'est pas facile de tourner avec moi parce que j'ai les trucs dans la tête. Je dis j'ai envie d'avoir ça. Et quelquefois, c'est pas facile. Quelquefois, c'est compliqué. Vous avez pu comme ça avoir toutes les facettes de Dali, c'est-à-dire qui ils sont, voilà, l'âme de Dali ainsi que l'unité de production. Alors ils ont ici l'unité de production, c'est important. Ils ont également des entrepôts qui sont là. Et ils ont une rue, la rue Dali, quoi, dans le coin, je sais pas. Si j'envoie un drone, on va la voir. Tiens, envoyons les drones pour savoir si on va la voir. Et voilà, j'étais très très heureux de vous offrir justement ce reportage au Danemark. sur cette marque qui mérite d'être connue, parce qu'on a fait des écoutes de ouf hein, ici, on a écouté l'accord, et croyez-moi l'accord et les picors, les sensations qu'on a eues au moment justement de l'écoute, que je ne peux pas vous retranscrire, parce que c'est impossible, c'est que si vous êtes dans la salle avec nous, que vous pouvez avoir les sensations, c'était assez hallucinant, parce que ça tient bon, même quand il y a du bas volume, parce qu'en général, la plupart des enceintes en bas volume, même des hauts de gamme, hein, et là en bas volume, c'est un métronome, et quand vous poussez, on sent vous pousser sans aucune distorsion. Voilà, c'est la vraie fin de la vidéo. Oh là, c'est la vraie fin de la vidéo. Je vais reprendre l'avion pour rentrer en France, et ce reportage a été tourné à la fin du mois d'août. Bonjour le montage, vu tout ce que j'ai tourné maintenant, 150 gigas quand même, je pense que j'en ai pour 20 à 30 heures de montage, avec toutes les interviews, intervenants, sous-titrage et autres. Bref, c'est que du bonheur. Allez, ciao, je vous fais des gros bisous. Merci d'avoir regardé. Merci beaucoup.
Et voici donc le message en danois qui annonce aux employés l'arrivée de Pépé Garcia dans l'usine.
1, 2, 1, 2.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Petit bonus de la vidéo. Voici Karine. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm great. I'm great. Alors, le petit bonus, c'est que figurez-vous qu'il y a des enceintes. Et il va falloir monter ça. Voilà, comme va faire la dame. Je vais essayer de monter les haut-parleurs, le bornier, le filtre sur l'enceinte. Et si j'y arrive pas, bah tant pis. Voilà, c'est tout. Mais dans tous les cas, let's go.
Yes.
I do the same thing as you do.
Okay. I always start to check the cabinet.
Check the cabinet.
Yes, for scratches and stuff.
For scratches.
Yeah, all the sides.
On regarde s'il n'y a pas de choses qui sont rayées. C'est-à-dire si le coffrage est en bonne forme. Là, c'est superbe.
Yeah.
C'est une couleur discrète en plus. C'est pas laqué du tout et c'est pas clinquant.
And you turn around.
Turn
Yes,
around.
Yes. And now we take this one and you take that.
Ok.
And you be careful with that. They can scratch.
Ok. They can. Ok.
Yeah. And you hold them in your hand.
Ok.
Yeah. And put it down.
Yep.
This way.
All the way down.
Yeah.
All the way down.
Yes. And yes. the
I
holes, yeah.
did it on purpose.
You take
Ah.
this one and put it in. You keep it this,
Yes.
and you put it down. This way, yeah.
Il y a des moments où il faut savoir faire les professionnels parce que j'ai fait nawak. Vous savez, nawak de chez nawak. Parce que c'est mettre la moussasse et j'ai perdu les câbles à l'intérieur. Woofer.
Yes. And you take the long wires
Ok.
and the small one, the small one.
Approche-toi plus près, on voit pas que j'ai 800 ans comme ça. Ça marche plus. Ah. C'est bien. Je vous ai dit, l'humiliation publique. La vraie. Voilà. Venez les garçons.
here. Put it down this way and have to be at 13.
Il y a une mesure et tout ici. Il faut que l'enceinte soit là pour pouvoir être testée, pour savoir si j'ai bien mis les vis.
There's 2.
Attention.
Yes. Approve?
Thank you, Karen. The boss. She's the boss. The boss. Thank you. Thank you. It was great. Non, parce les capteurs, il va remonter hauteur poussée. T'es devant, je peux pas avancer.
Dong, 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 shrunk, shrunk.